Hey everybody, I'm Eric. I'm making a game. I don't quite like the lighting behind me. I'm going to fix the lighting right now. But the game is called the Godkiller. It is a 3D top-down puzzle-solving adventure game. Let me fix the lighting. There, that's probably a little bit better. Alright. So today I'm going to get back to coding. I've been doing music stuff for some weeks. And it feels like it's time to switch back to writing some code. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a new project from scratch. That takes a little bit of explanation. So the idea is that the new project would be a new home for all of the old code that I already wrote to go into. But I've had various problems with the old project after Dropbox started messing up, and they were all related to symbolic links, references from one library to another being wrong, stuff like that. And I figured I could solve all those problems that I see inside of the old project, or I could create a new project and just kind of move over stuff into the new project and let that sort it out. And also I would be killing two birds with one stone, because I want to, or three birds even, I want to get rid of third-party packages that I'm not using, and the ones that I do use I want to bring over with like the minimal amount of assets in them that are needed for my project. Because what I found is that anything extra that I copy over with the third-party assets, it slows down my build times, it has a chance of breaking or causing some kind of problem. So I just want to copy over minimal things. Slows down my build time, slows down my load times, because I'll have all these extra assets built into the executable. I don't want to do that. So, okay, that was one thing it fixed. What was the other one? What was the other one? Oh, that's right. So I want to structure my builds such that some code that isn't changed very often is in like a pre-built library that gets pulled in as a dependency, and the code that's more actively changing will be outside of that. So it'll be faster builds basically. But I said a whole bunch of stuff about what I'm going to do, but actually today I'm going to start with something simpler, something a little more fun than everything I just described. I was just explaining why I'm starting over with a new project, because eventually all the old stuff's going to go into it. The thing I'm going to work on today is the level loader, and I'm starting on it from absolute scratch with an empty project. So it won't be like a tutorial. If anybody's watching this to try to figure out how to do things themselves, it's probably a bad thing to watch. But it will have that starting from scratch quality, which is kind of interesting to some people. So let me go over to that. All right. So I want to bring into this brand new scene, brand new project, things that I know I'll need. First one will be Pro Builder. I've been using that for modeling. So let's just install Pro Builder. I read some advice online about, what's the best way to structure your projects, and this one piece of advice I thought was pretty good, which is put all of your project-specific files in a separate subdirectory that's underneath assets. So that's what I did. I put all my stuff that I'm going to make as part of this project inside of a separate project file. And all the third-party library stuff that gets installed, it can go into here. The reasoning of this person was that when you install third-party assets, a lot of times they expect to be under assets because they're written in such a way where they're coupled to that location. So you might want to declutter them by putting them off in a separate directory someplace, like a third-party libraries directory or something like that. But something will break eventually and you have to fiddle around with it. So the opposite way of handling it is to put your project files inside of its own directory and let all the junk and clutter build up at the root level of the assets directory. So I thought that approach made sense, so that's what I'm doing for this. Okay, what's it say? I don't want examples or samples. I don't think I do. No, I think that's all good. Another one I know that I'll need is Text Mesh Pro. That seems to already be there. Alright, let's stick with that for now. Some notes on that sort of made me figure out what my approach would be for structuring the project. Let me scoot this in. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of think out my approach for this level loader scene. I did make some drawings earlier, but they're on my iPad and I don't want to go get that to show. But basically, I want a thing that's kind of like a bunch of connected boxes and shapes. Oh, I know what makes more sense. Let's go to insert a drawing. So it'd be kind of like, here's one level, and here's another level. Here's another level. They won't all be the same shape. I want to have the ability to kind of look interesting by using different shapes. So there might be like some circles. Okay, and then they'll be connected to each other with lines. So that kind of thing. They will tend to be vertically arranged. So just imagine like a whole bunch of these things kind of going up. And And there's this idea, on most of the levels you ascend, or quite a few of them, so it kind of feels like you're continuously going up, up, up. I don't know how far I'll keep that idea, because it seems like there are a bunch of levels where you should progress by maybe just moving north instead of up, you know, like I've got this thing called an ascension point at the end of each level, and you step on it and you float up, but I may end up creating different ways to exit levels that match the story a little bit better. But for the purpose of this level loader, what's another common term? World map, map view. The early levels will be down towards the bottom, and as you progress, you'll unlock more of these levels, and they'll show up here, and they'll tend to move up in this direction. And I also like the idea of it being kind of linear like this, like almost like a big long web page where you can just scroll up and down really fast. So say there's like 200 levels to the game, and you want to move to a level that was, you know, much earlier from where you're at. Say you're on level 200 and you want to go down to level 17, then you should be able to just scroll down really fast and be able to pick out the level you want to go to. So you are allowed to go to any level that you have previously visited. I'm not going to keep state between the visits to the level. Each level has just got a state of conquered or not conquered. And if you have visited a level, it will be shown on this map for the first time. So when you start out, you know, maybe you can only see like this very first level here, and then as soon as you visit the second level after beating the first, then the second level is visible along with this connecting line between them. Every once in a while there'll be like a fork or a place where you could use more than one exit within the level. In those cases, you know, like say the main route was you exit and then you went up to this level, but you hunt around a little bit, you find another exit in this level, and it opens up this guy over here. So it's possible for there to be a fork there. So okay. Another feature is that the interior of this shape should have a thumbnail image of some view of the level that is a little more iconic or recognizable. So, for example, if this is the level, I should find some feature of the level that's likely to stick in the player's mind. Maybe this part here, for example, and take a screenshot of it and use that to be the thumbnail image. And I was thinking also it would be nice to make all those thumbnails like in a isometric view. I don't know. I'll have to play with that visually, but it's just an image, so it shouldn't be hard to fiddle around with it and change it. Okay, so then if I had, let's see if I can even do it easily. don't like their new screen capture tool. I think every time I use it, I end up getting upset and looking up the key commands, which are simpler than the little tool that they've created. Mac, screenshot, hotkey, what is it? I never can remember it. I don't use it often enough. Capture the entire screen, Command Shift 3. Okay, that should be fine. Let me do that. Okay, but then I want the thing that I used to be able to do really easily was just kind of copy and paste this. Don't want to draw on it. It's made more difficult by me getting confused by what are the things in here that are the screenshot versus the UI of the utility. Oh, yeah, okay. This is UI of the utility is here. Okay. So what's all this? Okay, so I put it in here. Oh God. Okay, so how about that? Copy it. Just doing a little bit of prototyping here. Yeah, something kind of like that. I'll get another one. Okay, so the other thing I wanted was some kind of backdrop for all this stuff to lay on top of. So this is pretty 2D. But I was playing earlier with the idea of having like 3D walls along the left and right side. Oh, now that I'm actually like pasting these thumbnails here, I'm wondering if the concept makes sense. Maybe I should just keep it really, really, really simple. Like, what if it was just like a bunch of thumbnails, one after another, and you scroll to the one that you want. Guess I'm doing some design work here. I was thinking I would be doing a bunch of coding, but now I'm just kind of thinking, how do I want to design this thing? I like the thumbnails. The thumbnails just help you see pretty quickly like what the place is that you're going to. I think I was into all this stuff because I like maps. I like a good map. Let's do like a dungeon map. All kinds of dungeon map examples. Stuff like this just looks really neat. So I'm thinking about my forks a little bit. Don't really have a need for substantial forking. I'll give you an example of substantial forking. Attack of the Spire map. So in this game, it's not attack the Spire, slay the Spire. So in this game, it does a lot of forks, and the forks that you take can like lead you off on one path for quite a while, and then eventually at the top of the map, they all rejoin. Yeah, so my game doesn't need that. For me, it's more like every once in a while, there's one or two extra levels you can go through if you go off a fork, and then you'll immediately rejoin the main path afterwards. So with this new kind of vertical representation that's really simple, I'm thinking like how to do forks. I could do something like let's see, well, let me do a circular selection. I know how to do circular selection. Dang it. problem with jumping around between all these different apps. Okay, send this to preview. And once I'm in preview, I can finally select it. So do that. Now, let's go to one more app. God, this is like Inception levels of recursion. And let's see, what? Don't you tell me that. Okay. Create new. On the clipboard, create it. And there. And then elliptical marquee. I think this would look good. I think this would look good. Just like that. Okay. So imagine, if you will, you discovered like a little level inside of a level. Man, I need like some kind of outline around that to make it look like it's distinct from the rest. Could put off to the side a little bit. So with something like that, there wouldn't so much be forks as there'd just be like bonus levels that were off of the main level. It's better if I have them off over here. Okay. Let's do another one. So this concept of just having thumbnails and you scroll up and down, it's really grown on me. I think I like it enough that I want to take out all this stuff. I don't really want this stuff anymore, it turns out. I'm also thinking how simple this is going to be to code. I'm thinking how if you're the player and you want to find the level that you want to be at, it's going to be real easy. You just scroll up and down, and there can be like a acceleration to it, so that if you hold down long enough, it starts going pretty fast. So you whip through all the levels really fast, and you say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I went too far," and you just kind of correct a little bit, come back up. Yeah, I can see how it could be a pretty satisfying interface. So I think I'm going to stick with this. Still not 100% sure how I'm going to do the forks. Still thinking about this. So let me move this into Photoshop. I'm going to play with it a little bit more in Photoshop. I've got more visual options for that inside of here. Okay, let's do an HD screen. Come on. So slow. So 1980 by 1020. So get the aspect ratio right. And then I'll come over here. Whoops. Here. Grab these. Oh, that won't work. Okay. Just dropping some various screen captures inside of there so I can play with them. Okay. That's good for now. Alright. So I do want them to be thumbnails. I don't want them to be giant full screen things, because the capability of the user to kind of flip through them all really fast is important to me. And if I do a bunch of like full screen images for my shots, it's just not going to be good for that. I won't be able to load them all into memory. So that kind of begs the question what to do with all this other space that's going to be available. I could lay it out horizontally too. Here, let me try that. Also, I'll do something so that these look more distinct from each other. That layer style and put on all these other ones real quick. Okay. This doesn't seem bad. Feels like they'll need to be a little bit bigger as thumbnails go. Some will have to kind of bleed off the top. Let's do that. I'm just going to open a different scene so I can get a little more variety in my shots. let's go with the more recent ones. That's one thing about this isometric view is if I'm in a kind of a tightly enclosed area, it's hard to get a good shot. I wonder if that isometric thing is all that great for what I'm doing. Let me just try some without it. So this does make me think about the algorithm I'd use to display these. Yeah, that's kind of a cool shot. Get a different scene. It's being weird. I'm clicking on it and it's not doing it. Okay, cool. Alright, scenes. Okay. Noticing problems in the level where some of the things I put in earlier are missing is bugging me a tiny bit. But that's not what I'm worried about right now. Okay. Remember when I said software rots? Something is rotted. There were rails here. There were rails here. And now they're gone. I have no idea why. Okay. So, next layer style. So I'm thinking about programmatic layout or automated layout instead of me fiddling around with the positioning of all these thumbnails, because there's going to be just definitely over 100 of them, and I'll want to change them and add them in without having to screw around too much. Where's the friggin' background layer? Is that the background layer? Oh, I guess it is. Back. Lock. There it is. Okay. So, a thing I could do. Come on. I could just arrange them in these rows. And then center each row. That seems pretty good to me. Having different aspect ratios will make them look more interesting. So, like if I have a few that are kind of tall and skinny, that works out just fine. Okay, so now let me add something else to these. anything that I do on here in this mock-up that I do to make it look a little bit better. With layout, I have to think in terms of, am I going to be able to do that algorithmically? So just now I thought, like, it doesn't seem like a good idea to have the name of the level right in the middle, because there's stuff there I want to show. So I'll move it down bottom left here. And also set the size of the font kind of based on the name of the level, where it's kind of larger. Then I have to think algorithmically, like, I'm not going to have some automated analysis of the image to position the text. But maybe it's a good idea to just consistently put the level text like in the bottom left-hand corner, because whatever the thumbnail is, the subject of it will probably be more in the center. And I can also, when I take the thumbnails, be cautious about anything important being down in this bottom line part. Font size is another thing. Be nice to avoid doing anything too complicated there. If I could keep it all the same font size, that would be the easiest thing. But let me just add in some more level names. So a thing that can help here, whenever you've got text that has to work over a variety of different backgrounds, the answer is to have an outline in a high contrast color. No. What's that about? There we go. And I know that the Text Mesh Pro object will be able to do these kind of outlines. Let me get it kind of how I like it though. there I kind of cheated though. Let me problem solve for this tall, skinny one. Because I just put that over on the one that would fit it well. So let me see what happens if I try to put this over here where it obviously doesn't fit. But I like the tall, skinny ones. I don't want to get rid of them. I could have it shrink down in size. What does that look like? Doesn't look good. Does not look good. Alright, let me keep going with the rest. Alright, so what would be next? Let me make up some other names. The hall. Another one that's too big. Do shrink down. Okay. Okay, one thing that might be kind of nice and work for the small ones is if I just have a standard small size. So I would either use the big size if it fits or the small size if it doesn't. And I could keep the thumbnails and the names from not having any combination where the small size wouldn't fit. So I'll use the big size if it works, otherwise I'll use the small size. I think that's what I want to do. So then I gotta think, what does this look like if the if there's not all the levels are discovered, or you're just starting out, or if you're at the edge of it. And I think it would be like first level's here. Let's see. Dang it. Okay. So you go to, say the death box is the first level. Say it is. Then you go on to the second level, which could be paradise. Then you complete paradise and arrive in basement 1. So now I'm thinking about forks again. Do I need to do anything special with forks? Suppose you went through some levels and you did not discover a fork or an extra exit. Well, then you could keep exploring and keep going, and you just wonder why is there a hole over here? Did I miss something? You would say. And you come back and you explore basement 4 a little bit, and maybe you don't find anything in there because the exit's in basement 5. Then once you do find it, ta-da, there's the extra place. That seems pretty good to me. Okay. Another thing I'm noting is that the background is pretty plain when it's not fully filled up with thumbnails. So I might fiddle around with coming up with a background for it. Let me see if I've just got one that's a nice placeholder that I can throw in real quick. So, yeah, I can just throw this in real quick. I'm closing in on the design here. Another thing that's needed is selected versus not selected look. So let's say Paradise is selected. You could have the outline change color. That's pretty simple. Okay. I could also have the other non-selected thumbnails be in grayscale. That's not bad. I do kind of miss that thing where I could just go up or down. Before I get too far gone on this, let me save this. Not loader, let's call it a selector, level selector. Okay, so that's one version of it. I'll save a copy and make it a different version. Okay, let's call this other version single call. So if it was single column, it would be quite a bit different. think what the worst case thumbnails would be. The tall, skinny ones, basically. Okay. So if I get rid of that. Dang it. Am I not? Okay. Okay, so if I did it this way, I think I'd have to give up the tall, skinny thumbnails. I could have some variety in the aspect ratio, but not that super tall, skinny thing. Because it would look like it would look like that. That's fine. The tall skinny doesn't matter as much for this. So let's put some of these back in. Okay. So this is that simple up and down interface that I find very, very appealing. On the sides, I was thinking I could have basically some walls or other 3D stuff that just kind of goes up. I'll draw something like that in real quick. It'll look ugly, but it'll get the idea across. some walls kind of going to the left and right of you. This is suddenly making me like it a lot. For one, it's going to be easy to write, to implement. It's going to be easy to code this up. Compared to the other thing, which had like basically the need to write a box packing algorithm. The control on it would be really simple too for the player. Scroll up or down. I kind of agonized over the forking on it earlier. I don't think that was necessary. If you discover a level, you can just insert inside of here. Now, I could do that thing that is a little bit fun. And, come on. Leave a gap. Dang it. Come on. Oh, I see what it did. Okay, so I could leave a gap if you're missing a secret. But I don't know. With this view, it's not going to look as cool as when you had it all the way surrounded with other thumbnails. It even kind of looks like a bug, perhaps, to some people. And maybe I want people to search a little harder to find those secret levels. Don't want to clue them in necessarily. So I'm pretty sure this is what I'm going to go with right here. You've got a simple list of levels. All the ones you've ever visited will be here. There'll be a thumbnail for each one. You go up and down. If you hold up a long time, you'll scroll up faster. Down a long time, you'll scroll down faster. So it'll be like a momentum thing that builds up. I think this is it. I think that's a pretty good design. Practical too. It's not going to be that hard to make. Okay. All right, this is a good stopping point. I'm going to stop right here. I think next session I do, I'll start work on actually coding this, which I seemed to promise at the beginning, but then I realized I hadn't really designed it out very well. I'm kind of glad I didn't just start coding. That would have resulted in wasted work at some point. So much better to have a clear idea of what I want the design to look like before I start. I think I've got it now. Like I could kind of define more what this left and right wall is going to be, but even that, honestly, I think if I just keep it simple, if I just have some flat walls with a texture, that should suffice. So, yeah. Alright, stopping the stream, stopping the stream. Stop, stopping it.